This is a Variety Sports Network production. Now to your host.
Hello, motherfucker, and welcome to another edition of the seventh inning.
Stretch.
That's your Stone Cold is getting a little mediocre lately. I don't know. Well, anyways, Josh, my name is Logan Stone, and with me, as always, like my hemorrhoid cream, is Josh Edwards. Also, we have special guest Tom Quincy from Corner Booth podcast, and Ryan. He came back. He likes us apparently from BSing Sports. Tom, Ryan, how are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. How you guys doing?
Oh, you know what? We started off a little late.
That's all right.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere today.
Hey.
It's the biggest day in baseball, so of course we had to go everywhere. But anyways, so let's just get right into it. I think we all need to just start off with the biggest one news. Juan Soto got traded to the Padres for a whole bunch of prospects. Not Eric Hosmer. By golly, he was not going to the Nationals. He said he still had his pride left. But anyways, and they sent Luke Voigt back to the Nationals. So, Tom, I haven't heard your thoughts on this yet. What do you think of the trade for Juan Soto to the Padres? Oh, and Josh Bell.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people up here were hoping that. I mean, they never thought Soto was going to come here. There was a thought that maybe Josh Bell might, by some, but that obviously didn't play out. The fact that the Padres got both of them, interesting. You know, six prospects or whatever the hell it was, whatever. And they added Hader, and they added this, and it's just like, all right. So you see teams that went for it. The Hosmer thing is interesting to me because turning down a trade to the Nationals is one thing. Accepting a trade to the Red Sox right now, when I'm not sure if anyone knows what the hell they're trying to do. So that's kind of interesting. But, I mean, I will take it in the fact that they haven't had a guy that was actually physically Major League Baseball first baseman in over 2 years. So I will take it for what it's worth and the fact that it's an upgrade in that regard. I was surprised after they got rid of Vasquez. I was surprised. So I think the Soto thing to them is obviously you have to assume they're going to compete with the Dodgers, if not be the favorites right now. It's interesting to see what other teams did where the team that I follow did not do anything close to something like that.
Well, Hosmer didn't have as much as a say on the trade to the Red Sox. The Nationals were one of his 11 blocked teams, but he only had 11 teams that were blocked in his no movement clause.
Well, yeah, and he's also a free agent in 2026, and I believe the Padres are paying. I think the Red Sox have to pay the rest of this year. But the Padres, I think, are footing the bill for the rest of his contract.
I think what I heard is initially it was going to be they were going to eat the rest, right? I think there's like opt-outs or something after 2023 or something. I'm not even sure. I was working, so I was getting texts and people calling me, and I'm listening to the radio. I'm like, dude, I'm working. I got to wait till I can sit down and listen to all this stuff. And then I heard that, no, they were waiting on a prospect to come back with Hosmer. And then I was questioning, like, well, who the hell are they getting back? They just traded away 6 of them to the Nationals.
Yeah.
You know, and then I heard that they traded Groom and then people were up in arms about trading Groom. I'm like, please.
Talking about Jay Groom?
Yeah, like,
I faced him in high school, actually.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right. It's just like, well, he was the 11th prospect in the organization. And this is where, and I won't go off on a tangent because I swear I won't.
We're going to try to get you to.
And I mean, I may get there. I won't start off this way. But the 11th prospect in the Red Sox organization, okay, who was drafted, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago, probably. He pitched for Portland like last weekend. And I hadn't heard about him. I think he was hurt for a little while. And I'm gonna plead ignorance on the minor league systems. I don't pay a lot. I pay no mind, to be honest with you. I mean, unless when I was young, like Nomar was coming up and shit, but so everyone's like, oh, you can't trade Marcelo Maya, or you can't trade this kid. And I'm always yeah, you can, man, because you don't know what the fuck they're going to do. So Jason Groom, who's been around for 7 or 8 years and still pitching in Portland, just got to Portland, actually, I think. If he's your number 11 prospect in the organization and you can get a quality Major League Baseball player that is actually a pretty fantastic defensive first baseman, similar to what I wanted them to do when they got Rizzo last year, but I got shit on for that too, but whatever. Yeah, that's a story for another day. I don't mind the move for Hosmer.
Yeah.
I found it weird after you trade Vasquez. I thought they were really going to start moving guys that were up at the end of the season. But I will also say I'm glad they didn't, because I didn't want to have to sit through the rest of the season with no Martinez, no Bogarts, no Evaldi. I mean, because they don't have anyone in place to try to take their spot. So I'm selfish in that way, and that you can blame me for it. They're not that far out, and I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. However, 3 games out with those guys in the lineup is far better than just plummeting to the bottom of the standings and having to sit through watching absolute trash for the rest of the year. So I'll take the Hosmer. I don't know about the kid that did the catcher and all that weird shit and the
Reese McGuire and
that stuff. I'm like, I don't know Reese McGuire. I guess people are like, oh, you should know. Remember he did that. I'm like, well, no.
Isn't that the dude that got caught like jacking off in public or something like that?
In front of the
slapped a woman, like in a bar.
He did some real like off the wall shit.
He got caught jerking off in front of the Dollar Tree.
Sounds like something Logan would do.
In a $100,000 Mercedes. So first of all,
Logan would do it in
if you're in a $100,000, what are you doing at the Dollar Tree?
Yeah, right.
And secondly, I didn't think a lot of people that would patrons of the Dollar Tree would even give a shit that you were jerking off in front of the store. So I don't really know. I don't really know about that. I didn't know until I heard the trade. And then I heard that he can't hit. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So he jerks off in public and he can't hit. So that's great.
Maybe he's really good at catching.
Yeah. So they have Plawecki who can't hit.
That's sticky hands.
They have this kid who can only pummel himself. And then they called up some kid from Pawtucket, or Worcester, or whatever the fuck you call it up here nowadays. So
Pawtucket Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox or whatever. I have no idea. I do know that Franchi got sent down because they got Hosmer, so that's a fucking win in my book, no matter what. But overall,
yes. Were you surprised that JD Martinez wasn't traded?
I was once Vasquez did get moved. And then when Hosmer was brought aboard, I'm like, well, I mean, he helps them in a way. So are they going to kind of keep whoever's left here together to see what happens for the rest of the year? And then I was thinking, like, well, I would almost rather they keep it together. And I actually called Felger Maz early about this. I don't mind them leaving for nothing, to be honest, because I'm not comfortable with the return that Bloom would get. So to me, these prospects that Bloom acquires, and again, I plead ignorance on it, they're like the 25th and up in the organization of the teams that they're being taken from. So the Astros have one of the worst farm systems in baseball, and you got their 29th guy. So am I supposed to be happy about, well, yeah, but you traded Vasquez, who's like an everyday solid catcher, heart of the pitching staff type situation, and got a guy that's I think they were 21st and 29th was the initial report. And then the Sox came out and said, well, no, actually one of the guys is 21st or whatever. I'm like, okay. They're not going to sniff the fucking major leagues in the Red Sox organization unless Bloom's here forever, which I hope to Christ he is not. But, I think he stockpiles these guys, single A guys. It was 2 more single A middle infielders. It's like, how many 5'8" single A middle infielders do you want to get if you legitimately, and when I say like legitimately, I mean fucking legitimately, are never going to use. Like, enough already. Enough with the stockpiling of this low A talent that are never, ever gonna play at Fenway Park ever, unless you trade them, which for some reason he seems he doesn't wanna, to get someone that is good, and then they can visit when they're on some low market suck bag club and come here and play as a fucking pinch runner or pinch hit and trash time, bottom of the ninth, garbage. Because I feel that is all he has assembled since he's got here. So other than that, I will not rant. You know what I mean?
I can get Logan to rant in 2 words.
No.
Harrison Bader.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's just gonna love this.
Oh my gosh. I literally during the live stream earlier, Juan Soto, I was getting mad because the Cardinals were doing nothing and they lost out on Juan Soto. And then right in the last 2 minutes, they traded Harrison Bader, who is someone I hate, to the Yankees. And I was happy. I was like, you know what? This whole Juan Soto thing is a wash for me. I'm okay with getting rid of Harrison Bader now.
Yeah, we even switched from Jack to Bud, so we must be going in the right direction, man.
Right?
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's Daddy's best friend. I forgot I had it right there. So, Jesus. Speaking of, Ryan, the Phillies got. The 2 most notable was David Robertson and Noah Syndergaard. How are you feeling as a Phillies fan about those acquisitions?
I give Dave Dombrowski a solid A-, and I say A- strictly just because Logan O'Hop for Brandon Marsh straight up is a bit of an overpay. Granted, the Phillies have some catching depth in the organization. They do have Rafael Marchand, obviously JT Realmuto's in the MLB, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So they probably could have afforded to expend the position. However, in terms of prospect for player, it seems like they've no overpay. Other than that, Dave Dombrowski did an absolutely fantastic job covering all the needs of the Phillies. We're not, the Phillies were not, Carlos Rodon away from winning a World Series. So there's no need to go out and pay the price that it's going to take to get Carlos Rodon, because it's not going to happen. So Syndergaard's going to go in there, be the fifth starter. He's going to eat up 5 or 6 innings a start if we're good, play some 2-run ball. And then Brandon Marsh is going to come in, be a huge upgrade defensively in center field, and an outfield that, particularly without Bryce Harper for some time, has been dying for some top-tier defense. He just went out and filled all the needs that the Phillies needed to play October baseball again, which is where, this city needs to go. This fan base hasn't seen playoff baseball in 11 years, and that's a lot for a big market team, and especially one with a fan base like the Phillies. So I'd give it an A- all the way around. Good job, Dombrowski,
Yeah.
Don't you love when a big market GM actually makes moves that actually fucking propel the team? Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
I know Dombrowski well, so.
Yeah, I'm confused as to, I was surprised about Syndergaard at first, just because he doesn't have a history of dealing for rental players, and that's what Syndergaard is. Obviously, with about $7 million left this year, which the Phillies did take on all of. That put them, they're already over the luxury tax threshold, so they had no problem taking on that money in exchange for not having to give up another decent prospect. Not that the Phillies have many of those. I saw the list of the 5 untouchable prospects, and some of the names on there made my eyes roll back into my head. I was like, good God. One of them was Ben Brown, who we ended up dealing anyway, and he was like a 33rd round pick in 2017, and he just got out of single A ball, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's untouchable. Like, are we serious right now?
That's how bad it is sometimes.
But I went on my rant before. The Phillies just don't develop well. It's plagued the organization for years. They kind of, found essentially it was a diamond in a rough team when they developed, the 2008 World Series team, and the teams afterwards that competed for a World Series. But outside of that little stretch run right there, the Phillies have not developed talent in their own organization well in years. Maybe outside of pitching, Nola came up through the system. Hamels came up through the system. They can develop pitching well. But as far as the infielders go, I mean, Scott Kingery, Maikel Franco, those guys were garbage. You look at the outfield, it's even worse. I brought up a stat on the earlier stream that the Phillies, since 2010, which is now 12 years ago, have drafted and developed one outfielder that has had over 500 plate appearances in the major leagues, and that is Roman Quinn, who is now in the Tampa Bay organization. So the Phillies just don't develop well. So I really got no problems dealing these prospects that they considered untouchable. The only 2 that I would have considered untouchable were Painter and Abel, and Dombrowski did a good job to not touch those guys. So again, A-. Only issue I had was the Marsh-Rowe Hop swap.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. I think the Phillies definitely did well. A- sounds about right, because I mean, they didn't have a whole bunch of moves that they needed to make. Maybe add in an outfielder, but more defensive outfielder. But
the Phillies' moves will come in the form of Gene Segura coming off the DL in 2 days.
Yeah.
Or the IL, in 2 days, and Bryce Harper coming off the IL at the end of August. Yeah. That'll be their big acquisitions. If Harper can pick right up where he left off playing, his MVP caliber baseball that he's played, the Phillies will be just fine. The Phillies, funny enough, are over 500 against every team in the NL that is above them at the moment. They're 4-3 against the Dodgers, 4-3 against the Padres. The only team that they're sub 500 again is the Mets.
Yeah.
So I like our chances to compete. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win a World Series. Those are very small sample sizes, but being, 35-16 since Rob Thompson took over, it's a hell of a stretch.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go over to Josh because he's the Cardinal fan right now. Cardinals, they get
right now.
They miss out on Juan Soto, which is a big deal. But they do go out and they get Jose Quintana and they get Jordan Montgomery in exchange for Harrison Bader. What are your thoughts on this? Because I haven't actually seen your thoughts or heard your thoughts.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Mo should be
I
fired.
just know you're pissed. Okay.
Mo should be fired. Gersh should be fired.
Very calmly said.
And as far as I'm concerned, Marmal probably had something to do with this, so Marmal should be fired. I want to burn the organization to the ground right now, and not because they missed out on Soto. More or less because they didn't make the right moves and offer the right players to get the right guys you needed to send Yachty and Waino, well, perhaps Waino and Albert out on the high note. The Cardinals probably will not make the playoffs now this year unless they go on some 17-game run like they did last year, which was a fairy tale. And I could be wrong about this, but my feelings right now, right afterwards, I'm not happy about it, not in the slightest. I'm okay with the Bader trade, to be honest with you. It hurts on a fan level because I loved watching Bader when he was healthy and he was on the field. I don't think there's a more fun player to watch in the NL Central than Harrison Bader. The guy loves the game of baseball. He's so much fun to watch. He's got a flair for the dramatics of the game. The guy loved baseball. He was romantic about the game, which Logan and I both love romance about baseball. But he just hates Bader because Bader sucks at the plate and has never been consistent at the plate. But he will admit every day that he's one of the best outfielders in the game. So I'm going to call you out there, sir. But, I mean, Quintana.
He does over-exaggerate some of his catches. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
he does. But he makes it look good.
He'll catch a routine fly ball, and then he'll slide 10 feet and act like he just – like it was the hardest catch he's ever made. Anyways, go ahead.
He's fun to watch. He was good for youth. He was fun for the youth to watch. Let's not talk about how much the women loved him because of his hair. But
honestly, Tom and Ryan, like I'm not even kidding you. Some of these people would didn't even want Bader to be traded because of his hair.
Because he has a sick wig. I get it. I used to have a sick wig when I was younger.
It drives me insane. It's like, it doesn't matter that he sucks at baseball.
I think that's
just as long as his hair is good.
I think that's one of the worst things about baseball is across the four major sports, it probably has the most casual fans. So you hear people say just absolutely ludicrous stuff like that all the time. And it's like, what?
Oh my God, he's so hot.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I say the same thing about Trey Turner, but I am still able to be biased and say he's still the greatest player of all time.
Am I the only person that thinks Trey Turner's slides aren't that fantastic?
His slides?
Yeah. Like you see videos of his smooth slide, like they're just regular pop-up slides. Like you watch it every day.
I don't think that they need to be as broadcasted as everyone makes it out to be, but I still like some of his slides.
Well, I will say in Trey Turner's defense is you're dealing with the American public nowadays. Yeah. So when he does one of those things and it's on MLB Network looped for 50 fucking hours or whatever.
Yeah, right.
People are have you ever seen him slide though? His slide. No, he's a good player.
Yeah.
And he's adorable. So we have that too. You know what I mean?
The only slide Trey Turner that Logan cares about is a slide right into his DMs.
Whoa. That's only half true.
No. Hey, take the true. DMs instead of something else, man. That's all I'm saying.
But back to my upsetness with the Cardinals.
Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. One more thing on Trey Turner. His last sliding catch that he made, I love that he was sliding because he was expecting the catcher to call him off. I think it was Will Smith. And as he's sliding, he's looking at the catcher and he's like, really? You couldn't get this? And he had to run halfway into the foul ball territory. I don't know why I was playing so far in, but it was so funny to me. Okay, now you can go back to Josh.
So I wish we would have gotten another bat to come off the bench. And I wish we would have gotten a relief pitcher of substance Now, I'm assuming with the 2 pitchers we picked up, that's going to move Palante back into the pen and help solidify the bullpen. But I don't know. I really wanted to go after Sean Murphy. I would have been fine. I didn't want to go after Montas. He was going to be too expensive. I thought Blackburn would have been a good pickup. I really wanted Noah Syndergaard to come over to our team and play for us. So I was a little jealous when I heard the Phillies got him. I'm just this trade deadline was no better for the Cardinals than last year. And last year was a bunch of retreads. I mean, maybe Quintana turns out to something with a better team behind him. So I could be all wrong here.
He's got a 320 FIP, so I'm pretty excited about that.
So like I said, he could do better with us. My question, I don't know enough about the contract, so I don't know if he's a rental or if we have time with him, if he's on a contract. I know the guy we got from the New York Yankees. We got a couple years from him, I believe, or another year after this one.
Yeah.
So I'm just overall disappointed in the Cardinals. I feel like I'm in the same spot as Boston Tom over there, where nothing really went right, nothing to improve the team to make immediate success and momentum gain. Now, the good thing for the Cardinals is they're playing the Cubs this week. Yachty's back. And
they just threw somebody out today, too.
Yeah, strike him out, throw him out to start the game in the bottom of the first. It was beautiful. He gunned him down. He had him beat by 2 steps. He still hasn't hit nothing today. But I don't like him.
Grounded into a double play.
He did
the most consistent he's ever done is you can always guarantee he grounds into a double play.
You know who
on the
grounds
first
double
pitch,
plays more than Yachty? Albert.
Huh? Oh.
You know who grounds and double plays more than Yachty? Albert.
To answer your question, Josh, Quintana's contract expires at the end of this season. He's a rental.
Yeah, but he's only being paid $2 million. So
yeah, I think they owe like $700,000 left on his contract or something like that. Yeah. So
that's a good deal. Then I mean, I can't get mad about it. Now let's see if he does something the next 2 months, and maybe he's re-signable after the end of the season. But in all seriousness, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
I was just going to say that if the Cardinals don't make dramatic moves at the beginning of the offseason, as soon as free agency hits, I'm going to start a petition for Mo to be gone and Gersh to be gone. And I'm going to try to have everybody in St. Louis and the state of Missouri and all the fans in the surrounding states sign it. And maybe DeWitt will get a real GM in there.
Well, I mean, if you look at the landscape of the whole trade deadline, I would say that the Cardinals actually did okay for themselves in terms of staying in the wild card hunt, simply for the fact that there were a lot of losers in this trade deadline. There were a lot of partial selling teams that didn't commit all the way to it, i.e. the Red Sox. The Giants are another one. They kind of sold off some smaller pieces but didn't get rid of the real value. And I think, when you look at stuff like the teams like that, I think they hurt themselves enough that the teams that did anything for themselves are probably in a better shape. So I wouldn't say that the Cardinals are, all hope is lost type deal, but I think that they did enough for themselves that they could at least stay in the wild card race. Just even adding the 2 arms, I don't think Jordan Montgomery is somebody to be slept on either. Truthfully, I've always thought Jordan Montgomery's been a decent pitcher. I just think he'd do better outside of that huge market in New York.
Yeah.
And I hope you're right. I mean, for my team and my fandom, which my fandom will never go away, I hope the information you're giving me is good and solid. And I trust that coming from you, you believe it is. I just hope it translates into the game.
I mean, ultimately, you can make all the moves on paper you want, but if it doesn't translate on the field, that being said, I think if the Cardinals miss the playoffs, there will be one drastic move. Nolan Arenado is going to say bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was my other big concern. They didn't go make the big splash to show Arenado that they're committed. So, I mean, unless they're planning on bringing Jordan Walker up to start playing third base next year,
they'll probably just move Gorman back to third. They'll probably just move Gorman back to third. It's his spot.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's worth it. I don't think he's worth what everybody hypes him up as.
He's I
a
like
good little
Gorman.
player, but
I like Gorman's bat, but he looks so odd playing second base. He looks
but he's played so much better than anybody anticipated playing second base. He's only committed 4 errors all season.
He's played good, but especially in the beginning of the year when he first started there, he looked like a dog that just came out of the womb. He just looked like he had no idea how to walk. He just looked weird, like field and ground. Anything about him looked weird. But yeah, I think I think Gorman's battle come around eventually. But I like Nolan Gorman personally. Him and Matthew Liberatore really I was hyped for them to see Major League time this year.
Yeah. We are joined with Adam from Sports Talking or Sports Talking It. How are you doing, Adam? How is Top Golf?
We're doing good. We're at Top Golf, just hitting some balls, living life.
Have you had to go to the bathroom with your date yet?
No, that's fucking gay. Anyway. Go ahead. I don't have headphones on, so obviously I have to hold the phone close to my ear.
What are the trades that shocked you today, or that you like?
The air. Hosmar refusing to go to the Nationals is pretty funny to me. That one kind of shocked me. Syndergaard to the Phillies. That was a better trade, I thought. I didn't hear much details on it, but I thought Philly picked up a good pitcher if he can come back alive.
He's got a 3.38 ERA this year. I'd say that's doing pretty good for a guy we're expecting to eat 5 or 6 innings to start.
Right, but he's hopefully he swings it around and does a lot better. The Angels are a tough team to be on as a pitcher. The Angels just have no luck with pitchers at all. So,
except for Shohei Ohtani.
Except for that guy. That guy's just phenomenal.
Well, even then, he got hurt his first year. Missed all his starts on the mound pretty much.
Right.
But I said this name to Logan earlier, C.J. Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
So Contreras didn't go anywhere, right?
No.
That kind of surprised me.
State in Chicago.
That kind of surprised me a little bit. Yeah. I've never been to Top Golf, guys. It's pretty fun. Have you guys ever been there?
Yeah, twice.
I've been there, but I never actually golfed. I just got drunk. So
that's all you're good at, Logan.
That happens to me everywhere.
Yeah, right.
What?
Yeah, why go to Top Golf and do that when I can go to my kitchen and do that?
Like I'm doing right now.
Yeah, but you can't play live Tiger Woods in your living room all the time.
See, that's where you're wrong. You can do anything you put your mind to.
Especially when you're drunk enough, right?
I can stimulate my brain if I had enough beers in me.
Yeah, right.
I thought the Padres made out the best. I'm I'm sure everyone thinks the Padres made out the best.
Yeah.
They got
3 great players, 3 of some of the best players at their positions this year. So yeah, they went for the top tier stuff. They didn't go for mediocre guys
No, they're going for broke, and hopefully it brings them a championship.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them. I'm still going to root for Juan Soto. Not today, but tomorrow I will.
You can't beat that. What the Padres did today should be talked about at least for until next year.
It's an unprecedented trade deadline just because you've never seen a move like that before.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Right. I'm sure you guys talked about they signed Musgrove to a $100 million deal right before all that.
Yeah, he got $20 million a year.
Yeah.
So obviously the Padres are coming up with money out of their ass somewhere.
They're gonna have to move off Will Myers in the offseason for sure. I sat there and thought about it, and for a team that's trying so hard to get under the luxury cap, what are they? It would not shock me in the slightest if they told Manny Machado, "Pack your bags, you're out of here." If they want to re-sign Juan Soto, when his time comes, they got to tell Machado to take a hike.
What was he in the arbitration year this year?
Yeah, he's got 2 more arbitration years, but think about all the players taking the money off the payroll. Musgrove's 5 years start next year. Fernando Tatis's contract starts next year. Machado's got, I think, 7 or 8 more years. Will Myers has, multiple years left on his overly egregious deal. So I think if you had to pick one between Tatis, Soto, and Machado, which one are you
That was a
telling
good
back
stuff,
up?
So I mean, this is World Series or bust for this team.
At least the next 2 years.
Look, I know it's a lot, but and everybody's saying that the 3 guys, Soto, Tatis, and Machado, are going to earn them $1 billion altogether. But I mean, if you break it down, Soto's going to ask for $36 million. What's his name? Machado is getting 30, and I believe what was Tatis getting?
Is getting 24.
So, I mean, if you look at it, yeah, they're making a lot of money per year. But, I mean, the Padres, all those California teams are making a lot of money except for the Athletics.
Which should be in
Lowly Athletics.
But, so the Angels, they paid for Albert Pujols and C.J. Wilson because of their TV deals. And I think the Padres have TV deals just like that too, if I'm not mistaken. So
now
I think they'd be able to.
I know Yu Darvish contract expires not this offseason, but next. So he'd be coming off the books right before they'd have to sign Soto too. I'm not sure about Snell though.
Snell. Yeah, I don't know about Snell. I think they would be okay with getting rid of Snell.
I think at that point they'd be good with getting rid of whoever they had to get rid of to make sure that, I think Musgrove has pitched fantastic since he's been there. He's definitely solidified himself as a nice 2 or 3 guy in the rotation. I need to see more out of him, maybe call him an ace, but I think, they would just need one more pitcher, really.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Musgrove was the ace in Pittsburgh.
I could be the ace in Pittsburgh, man.
Well, I understand that. I believe me. I get it.
I will say this of the Will Myers stuff, right? Because that popped up earlier today too with the Hosmer thing, and it was like, well, you might have to take on Myers too. I'm like, we heard that like 2 years ago, and no one's ever bit on taking on Myers. So the Machado thing, honestly, Ryan, I thought that when they took on Soto, that was the first guy I thought of. Was like, so you're gonna pay Machado $300 million, you're gonna pay Tatis $300 million, you're gonna pay Soto whatever. I don't even know what the number's gonna be on that. Machado's the first guy I thought of. So if that's the case, where they're like, all right, we got to cut bait with Manny Machado.
$100 to hit him.
I mean, we know like the obvious. The Yankees will be in on him. The Dodgers will probably be in on him. They'll put him in a position that he's not playing right now. Who else though? Who else besides like? And then we know it's not the Red Sox. So
the Cardinals, if they don't keep Arenado.
That's what I was just about to say. That would open the door for the Cardinals to get Machado.
So if they don't,
I don't like that, but
I thought the Cardinals.
If the Cardinals lose Machado, they simply replace him. I mean, I'm sorry, with Arenado, they replace him with Machado.
I mean, theoretically, but I think they're going to keep Machado. If anything, honestly, I would think that they would get rid of Tatis. I would think they would get rid of Tatis before
That's
Machado.
a good job, Mike.
Just because Machado is, Tatis is good, but he's a very big liability, I think. I think defensively he's a liability. I think he gets way too easily injured. And I think it's going to be a bust in a couple of years.
So they might be good because I just looked it up. Yu Darvish and Blake Snell both come off the books after 23, so they're clearing up a lot of space in the pitching front. But then that asks the question: is who the hell is going to pitch for the Padres after 2023?
Yeah.
Yes, everyone's aiming for him. Sorry, the ball cart guy is right dead smack in the middle right now. Everyone's aiming for him.
Yeah, it's like an unwritten rule of Top Golf. You have to hit
Right?
the ball guy.
Yeah, right.
It's the exact opposite thing of a real golf course.
That was not even close.
Yeah,
You're
that's
alive
also-
right now.
yeah.
You're alive.
I can't believe this guy.
Sorry,
Maybe the
everyone.
Padres will just trade for like some of the Pirates guys.
And then a
Everybody
point that
seems
was
to be
brought
doing
up,
that.
a point that was brought up earlier, like if obviously they've opened up their window for the next 2 years because of the contracts and the players that they have on them. They could easily turn around and just deal Juan Soto back for contract should it not work out or they win a World Series because he's got team control through 24. So if they're
Man,
like
that
all
is
these other
wicked
guys are off
loud,
the books in
dude. Like, I
23 and the
can't
team
hear
looks like
anything.
they suck, they're just going to turn around and deal Soto again. Like Juan Soto could potentially be like the most expensive 2-year rental in history.
Yeah, ever.
Sorry, guys.
Well,
Oh, no,
I mean, the
sorry,
Padres,
I couldn't hear anything.
What's up?
they
I
the
couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. The Padres, they need to get on the Soto contract if they plan on extending him. Because honestly, in 2 years, his contract is going to go up. He's going to
This
be
year's the year to do
40,
it. The year that he's having the down year is the year to do it.
45 to 50 million in 2 years. So yeah, I think they need to go up. Oh, look, Gina's in.
They could
Gina, you
even
just need to
use
come into
they
the
could even
chat.
use Tatis's contract as ammo. Like, hey man, we're only paying this guy $24 million a year, and he's doing a hell of a lot better than you were at this point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Sorry, guys. It's really loud here. I'm trying to listen and talk, and I understand I'm probably muted and shit.
Oh,
But I really just feel the Padres won the day. I don't think the Cardinals did bad either, getting Rondon and who else did they
two
get?
former Pirates, I think, right? Jordan Montgomery was a Pirate, right?
I think
They
he was
got
drafted
Quintella
or
too, right? Jesus, right? They got
What
Quintella,
was that?
right? They got Quintella and Rondon.
Quintana and what's his name?
Rodon
Jordan Montgomery.
So it wasn't like it was terrible. I know you didn't get Soto, and that's a big disappointment, but you still picked up more pitching that you needed.
I'd say it's better than J.A. Happ and John Lester.
But hey, I just wanted to stop in and say hi, guys. And I'm gonna get off here because I know it's really loud here, and I know it's not the best quality. But I just want to stop in and say hi, and everyone. I'm gonna get off here, and I'm gonna go hit some golf balls at the golf cart guy.
nice.
Yeah.
Good
Make
luck,
sure
man.
you're
Buddy,
Hopefully
you
you hit
take
one
it
or
easy dropping in.
make sure your date buys you a whole bunch of beers.
We're drinking Jack tonight.
Oh boy.
Jack. Oh wow. Is that foreshadowing?
Assholes. Anyway, you guys
I'll
all
see
have
you
a good night, and I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Take it easy.
later.
All right, later.
Oh my! Wow. Okay then, that was fun. But yeah, thank God that Adam showed up when he did. But anyways, so you want to talk about the Yankees for a little bit? I mean, they kind of had a big trade deadline also.
Yeah.
Underrated. They got Montes, Benintendi, Lou Trevino, Scott Efris, who's going to be a free agent in 2028. So they're keeping him for a while. And Harrison Bader. It was kind of like a weird thing because I was looking at Yankees Twitter today after we went live, and they were basically saying, you took 2 steps forward and 1 step back with trading for Montes and then getting rid of Jordan Montgomery when they needed starting pitching. So to me, I think that they were really close with Pablo Lopez. And they wanted to get rid of Montgomery. And they wanted to get something back, and then it just fell through at the last minute. So that's my thought process on it. But do Do you guys have any thoughts on it?
You know, if Derek Jeter was still in charge of the Marlins, they'd have gave Pablo to the Yankees for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it. I feel like they thought they were a lot closer to Pablo Lopez than they actually were, and they made the move anticipating, and it didn't work out. I mean, all in all, if we're talking Frankie Montez over Jordan Montgomery, I'd take Montez. I know that he has a couple years, but he still has a couple years of team control too. He's pretty young, but the A's once again, man, just breeding prospects for the Yankees to take them. Seems like they've been doing that for years.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Tom, do you have any thoughts on the Yankees getting all these guys?
I mean, I think the Montes one that's a nice pickup, man. You know, but at the same time, it's like we are so far away from the Yankees that it's just almost like, you know,
who cares? It's overkill.
Get whoever the fuck you want at this point. We're not going to catch you. We're lucky to get in the wild card at all. So, they made some good moves to make their team better, in my opinion. Will they advance in the playoffs? Who knows? We've seen them when they have made some pretty sick moves and never done anything in the playoffs and get bounced when they're the favorites going in. So, I mean, at this point, all I want to see them is to get bounced, I guess. I mean, they had a good trade deadline. I think they probably had a better trade deadline than, you know, the Red Sox did. You know, at least they got legit starting pitching, and which we didn't. So I don't really have a ton of feelings. I will laugh that the Dodgers traded for Joey Gallo, though.
That's
because,
why?
Because honest to God, my fear was that the Sox would trade for Joey Gallo. Because he's like every other fucking guy on this team right now.
Yeah.
Same exact type of player. You know? Can't hit a lick. We've been through this last few times we've talked.
Yeah.
That type of player drives me out of my mind. Like, I can't understand it. So the fact that they got, I guess, and again, you tell me what kind of prospect got sent back in return. I only see the parentheses next to the trade on the ticker. He was someone's high teens, maybe. That guy sucks. So the fact that they were able to unload him and got, I guess, someone who could be maybe, I think maybe a pitcher, I think they might have got back, like Beekman or something to that effect. I think then the Yankees won that one too. The fact that someone would take Gallo in a trade, like you'd give up someone off your, out of your organization.
Yeah. You give up a retired player pretty much. Like
it's almost like, why trade? They're gonna designate him eventually, aren't they? We'll just wait. But if they waited,
I don't know.
I think with Aaron Hicks still being out, if I'm not mistaken, Joey Gallo wasn't going to get DFA'd.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. But would you trade for him?
So here's how I kind of rationalize this if I'm the Dodgers, right? So Joey Gallo obviously has a ton of upside to him. He has fantastic power. He's a great athlete, so he can play solid defense. They essentially got, Cody Bellinger, but for free. Like, if he sucks, who cares? He's a free agent at the end of the year, so you pay him, I think it's $3.6 million, which to the Dodgers is chump change.
Right.
So, and say he does just want to leave New York, he turns around, he hits 240 and hits, 15 home runs over the next 2 months of the year. Congratulations. You just gave up a prospect that nobody's ever going to see play in the majors for a guy that probably just kept the Padres off your back long enough, So I feel like that the risk to reward in this trade, if I'm the Dodgers, it was definitely kind of worth taking. Now, if Gallo had some kind of extended contract past this season, that'd be a little bit of a different story. But he was, in fact, only on a 1-year deal.
240 sounds steep, though. Don't you think?
I'd say about 230. 230 is realistic. I think it's like a career 225 hitter.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't get those. I don't get that type of player. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think he's awful. So, but they unloaded him
this year,
and they got someone back. So
Joey Gallo is Adam Dunn on steroids, but
maybe
literally.
Man, like those guys, I just can't do it. Those type of players, I just can't do it. You know.
Yeah, but I'm honestly surprised that the Dodgers went after him.
But I think, like Ryan said, maybe it was just because maybe like the Padres just going to load their bench with some other stuff that can.
I mean, who else? You know, even think about like a team like the Phillies that needed center field help. Like, is it worth taking on $3.6 million for a guy that probably isn't going to turn? Is it worth the risk for the Phillies to do it? No.
No, but to the Dodgers, it doesn't matter because the money is.
To the Dodgers, it's like it's all reward, no risk. Like the only risk that you have from the Dodgers standpoint is you lost out on $3 million, which whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But their center field production sucks, and the rest of the lineup can make up for it. Whereas like the Phillies, their center field production sucks, but we kind of need somebody that's going to produce.
Right.
Yeah. And
we got Tommy Pham, so you know.
You guys have fun with Tommy Pham. I've had my time with him. I don't.
I didn't. That's another that I didn't mention that earlier. I don't understand that thing at all. Honestly.
This year in particular, it's been a lot of teams that are just like buyers and sellers, like the Red Sox.
Fill me in on why you would get Tommy Pham now. Like whatever. I'm not a fan of him either, but it's like you needed. I mean, the last thing the Red Sox need is more platoon people.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy is. Again, I need everyday players. And they don't want to do that anymore. They want to platoon as many fucking positions as you possibly can. And it drives me insane. So Tommy Pham, great debut tonight. Scored a run and stuff. Awesome.
Yeah.
I don't get the get of Tommy Pham is all.
It kind of feels like this
for a short period of time.
I don't get it.
It kind of feels like the same as the Cardinals last year when they got John Lester and Jay Happ. Just something to keep the position warm for a while and just, hold you over till the end of the season. And then, which the Cardinals got super lucky last season that, the team kind of came together and the Padres fell apart. And they ended up going into the playoffs and then getting their asses handed to them. But they were. But anyways, that's what it kind of felt like for me, the Tommy Pham. Don't even look at like that, Josh. That's what it kind of felt like with the Tommy Pham trade.
It felt odd, is all.
Yeah.
The whole day felt odd.
It was a lot of like I said, there was a lot of losers. It was a lot of minor selling from teams that probably should have just gave up. And outside of the Padres, and the Twins bought like hell. I mean, were there really any other like true buyers?
Not really.
Yeah,
the Yankees gave and take. It was just a weird deadline. It was like almost like I said earlier. I got to check the free agency list coming up in the offseason because it was almost like anybody's too afraid to make a move.
Yeah.
Could
I
this
feel like
be
if we know the free agency list,
playoffs?
What's up?
Could this be an effect of the extended playoffs where we have so many teams who think they want to be in?
I think it is. I think, a lot of teams are probably sitting around like, why should I give up prospects? Even the Giants who are, why should we be full sellers? We're only 3 games out. We can offload some guys and get some prospects back and still keep the core together. I think the expanded playoffs have drastically changed, the way that teams are going to view the deadline just because there's going to be that many more teams that think they're in contention now.
Yeah. So everyone's still so you still say there's a chance.
Yeah, right.
Basically, this is why I didn't like the expanded playoffs.
No, they should have
honest
stuck.
with
They should have stuck with 6 teams in each league.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
just waters it down. That's all it does. It just waters
Honestly,
down
I
the
would just
playoffs.
love it if they went back to 5 teams in each league.
Yeah.
The baseball
Yeah.
playoffs were the best because they were the hardest to make.
Yeah.
Right.
Just don't
Not-
get to
and
hot. Don't
baseball
get it.
wasn't
Don't let it be
baseball.
like the NHL where half the
Yeah.
conference.
All right,
makes
well,
it or
see,
something.
the NHL playoffs are entirely different because the number 1 seed hasn't won the cup in like 10 years. The NHL playoffs are just ridiculous. Like, you can just bet on an upset. There's always
Yeah.
going to be just like an insane amount of upsets.
With the exception
I
of
was
this
most
year,
of-
you're right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everybody had Colorado pegged. But they weren't the best team in the league, or they didn't finish with the President's Cup trophy. But that's a whole different curse with a whole different story. But I mean, everybody knew that if Colorado got out of the West and made it to the Cup final, they were going to destroy whoever they played in the East. I mean, I don't know how many people I saw that when the Blues Avalanche series came up, they said the winner of this game is going to win the Stanley Cup. Like, I saw that everywhere, not just from our network or on our show, but I saw it multiple other places. But nobody thought that the Blues could get past Colorado. But if they did, they knew nobody else in the West was going to run with the Blues.
I'll tell you what, the
could
Blues
put
wouldn't have,
anybody in the East.
the Blues probably would have got swept by Tampa. I think Tampa is head over shoulders better than the Blues, but I mean, I think this was Colorado's year. I think the writing was on the wall for Tampa, 2 years in a row already. It's like, all right, enough's enough. And Vasilevsky really just wasn't on his game pretty much all season. Like, he didn't look like himself, especially in the latter half and through the playoffs. So, and then Colorado took full advantage of that. I know this is supposed to be an MLB trade deadline show, but we do BSing. Yeah, we do BSing sports. This is exactly what we do. We just jump from topic to topic and let the show tell.
It's not a
tell us.
seventh inning. It's not a seventh inning stretch until Josh decides to start turning it into a hockey podcast.
So real quick, because Ryan, I don't know you as well.
Actually, in this defense, I brought up hockey just based on the playoff format of the NHL.
Don't.
Yes.
Well, no. See, you would do that, but Josh likes to take that and then go down the road for a little bit, half a
I'm
mile,
here
and he's
for
like,
it.
"Oh yeah."
So are you?
I don't
are
know
you a
anything
Flyers
beyond
fan?
what I said.
Okay.
Yeah, which means actually,
I have
which
no-
means low key, I'm a Blues fan too, because you take all our trash and turn it into treasure.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
We
Craig
love
Berube,
bars in Philadelphia.
Braden
so-
Shen. Yeah,
Anyways,
mean,
yeah, good
yeah,
job,
bring it up, Ryan.
Yankees.
Just want to make sure.
yeah, we'll link up, Josh.
Absolutely, sir.
But the Astros,
Who's that?
had a sneaky trade deadline also. They went and got Trey Mancini, Christian Vasquez, and Will Smith. They dumped Jake Odorizzi to the Braves. So, I mean, I think it was a good turnaround for them. I did not think that they would be able to get as much as they did at the deadline, but they did, and now they're even more of a contender or a bigger threat than they were before.
Are they really though?
Yeah, I can't wait for Jake Odorizzi to go to the Braves and go like 7-1 with like a 1 ERA and just absolutely destroy everybody because now he plays for the Braves.
Like Twins. Yeah, like he was with the Twins.
Yeah.
Well, Logan also told me 3 days ago Odorizzi was going to end up in St. Louis.
No, I didn't. I don't remember
Yes,
that.
you did. You messaged
Oh,
it to me.
yeah. I think I was saying that the Cardinals are going to be like getting Rich Hill and Jake Odorizzi instead of getting Juan Soto, Carlos Rodon, or Frankie Montas. That's just how they are. Is they're going to get 2 sucky pitchers and act like it's like the biggest trade deadline they've ever had. How do you guys
Tom,
grade the
Boston's
Astros?
beating Houston right now.
Huh?
Speaking
What's
of the Astros, Boston is up on Houston right now in the bottom of the 8th.
Oh yeah, I know. I got it on right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I stopped watching the Phillies when we went down 8-1.
Yeah.
I sat through that game a few weeks ago when they
Dude,
got.
that was embarrassing. I felt so bad for you.
And
the
I was
28-5
on,
game?
but I was on with you guys, and
Yeah.
you saw.
We were in the middle of a show, and he's watching this game, and he's
Yeah.
just on
Because
live.
I just couldn't believe what I was watching.
I'm pretty sure it was NFL preseason. Actually, 28-5. That sounds about right.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
there was a safety involved or something. I don't know what the hell happened, but
Jeez.
But no,
Yeah,
the funny thing is where this is how it works around here, okay? We get wicked pissed about stuff. And then we say they have no fucking shot and whatever. And they're in the process of maybe winning 2 in a row against Houston, where no one gave them a shot to win a game against Houston. Again, maybe. Because I don't have any faith in what the bullpen brings. So if they do win back-to-back against Houston, because they gained a half game last night, and because the rest of the league is so poor that you can actually stick around, and be it with Plawecki or whoever the other kid is again, the diddler there, whatever his name was, the kid from Toronto or Chicago or whatever it was, them trying to captain a pitching staff without Vasquez will be something else if they can actually pull that off. Because Vasquez at least was very good in the role that he had here. So I kind of wish they didn't trade him. And he was another kid that was drafted, signed as a young kid and came through the system. So if they're going to plug and play with people and still win games, I will be shocked. Absolutely shocked. But at the same time, I will not be shocked if they do beat the Astros and then they lose to whatever godforsaken suckbag team they're going to be playing coming up.
Yeah.
The Orioles. Yeah, well.
The Orioles are a good team, so.
Yeah.
I like the Orioles.
They're underrated.
The Orioles
No
would
one said they're
stop
good.
selling
They're
off
underrated.
guys as soon as they become good. They'd actually build a decent team.
I mean, they traded this. They traded the closer.
Yeah, for 4 more prospects. Like, dude, just hold on to them. You're like 2 years away from being a pretty decent squad.
Yeah. But they've been like that for a long time. It's like, I think teams like the Orioles and how the Rays used to be and how the Pirates are, they suck every year. And they have high draft positions and they draft these kids and they develop them and they have fantastic talent. And then they're like, all right, you got to go, And I hate to see that. Like, I mean, I'm not all Boston all the time. It's like, I like when I see kids come up and, 20 years old and they're lighting it up and they're like, you already know this kid is never going to stick around in the franchise that he got brought up in, and that sucks,
Yeah.
But like the Wander Franco kid for Tampa, when they gave him that was like 180 mil or whatever.
Yeah, 11 years, $182 million.
Yeah, and he's a good player. Like, he's a good kid. He's fun to watch. He's a good player.
I mean, when you're the number one prospect in baseball for 3 years in a row, I would try and get out ahead of that too. If I was a cheap franchise and be like, all right, we're going to give you $17 million a year for
the next
11 years.
Yeah, they have to. But now you see all these teams, and it's like 10, 11, 13 years. It's like they already know that they're going to keep them around for, I don't know, depending, 5-ish maybe. And then some other team, usually the same teams, they're going to swoop in and snake this kid up, And it's like, it's business, and I understand that. And the Red Sox used to do that stuff, which they do not right now. And that's disappointing because I would love Wander Franco, believe me. But it's like you kind of see them, like how the way the game's progressed in that way. And it's just kind of like, man, the money's so outrageous that these teams can do it for a few years, or they backload the contract and they can be like, listen, we can't do 18 million a year, but we can do 9. And then at the end of it, you're going to make 21 to whatever by the Yankees or the Padres or the Red Sox or the Dodgers or whatever else, or Cardinals or whoever else is going to buy this talent up. Just as a fan watching baseball and growing up on it, that's kind of disappointing to watch. You know, I'm not like I said, I think I'm a lot older than you guys, but it's just kind of like you used to find a talent like you find these kids coming in now, like even Devers, I'll say. And they're like, well, yeah, but is he worth it? And it's like, is he worth it? Jesus Christ, is he worth it? Yes, it's worth it. And you have all the money in the world to give it to him. So do me a favor. Give it to him.
Yeah.
You know? Give it to him.
To answer your original question, Logan, we got way off topic here.
I do that all the time. Sorry.
I'd give the Astros probably like a B to a B plus. Will Smith is a massive upgrade for them in the bullpen, and Trey Mancini is going to do what Yuli Gurriel obviously couldn't do this year, which is produce. But losing Odorizzi from that rotation is going to hurt. You're talking a guy that's pitching to the tune of a 3.75 ERA, which is nothing to bat an eye at. And starting pitching gets so critical down the stretch and into the playoffs. So I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. But ultimately, I still think that they added some pieces that they needed to. So,
yeah. Tom, do you have a grade for the Astros trade deadline acquisitions?
I would say that I mean the Vasquez one I think is big. I mean, they already have a pretty solid catcher there, but I think Vasquez's professionalism and talent with how he can handle a rotation is going to be pretty solid for them, and he's not gonna hurt them through coming in the playoffs. So I think that's a nice move for them. It's not a crazy move. Like, he's not a all-star, superstar short catcher or anything, but he's a solid pro. And I think that's why a lot of people up here kind of appreciated him. The pitching staff up here appreciated how he handled the pitching staff. Like Veritek's on the staff up here. So I think that helped him a lot, basically kind of go about your business and take care of, your preparations and stuff. So I would say that I would take the Astros as one of maybe like a sneaky underrated move of the whole trade deadline by any team, because it's not going to cost them a ton of money, but the value that he brings to a pitching staff is probably pretty impressive, and it's probably very underrated as far as the rest of the country would think about that.
Yeah.
How
is he on offense? I was going to say, because I think they wanted to get a catcher because Maldonado could not hit.
Yeah, Vasquez is having a pretty decent. He's having one of his best offensive years, I would say, because he doesn't light it up. I mean, honestly, I'd have to guess. I don't know the stats off the top of my head. Him and Hosmer's numbers are probably pretty close. 280-ish, I would guess. I don't know.
327 on base, 759 OPS, and a 108 OPS plus. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
He doesn't go off batting average.
Yeah, look at Plawecki and the other kid that they just got, and tell me how good Vasquez is that way, because he's Babe Ruth to them too. So, yeah, Kevin Plawecki, man. Oh man, that poor guy. So yeah, you lose him, and you lose his intelligence behind the plate for what you have now, which is some minor league kid that's supposedly coming around that can hit, but he can't catch. And then you have Plawecki, who actually threw a guy out earlier, I saw, which I was shocked. And this new kid that they got in the Diekman trade. So I think Vasquez is a very underrated move league wide, in my opinion. But I'm biased because he was on this team and now he's not.
Pilecki has 175 batting average, 270 on base, 518 OPS, and a 45 OPS plus.
That sounds about right. That sounds high, to be honest with you.
It's not good. It's not what you want to see.
No,
that's
it's
for
not.
sure. Josh, what do you rate the Astros trade deadline?
Give them a solid B. I mean, I'm not overly impressed. I'm not super disappointed. Looks like they filled a couple of their quote unquote needs, made some kind of improvement upon what they had going on. I still don't think they're a World Series contender this year in the AL. I still think the Yankees are easily the favorite. I don't know. Houston just doesn't impress me here nor there. They're still going to be hard to get out. They're not going to be an easy out of the playoffs. They're going to get a home field advantage. So, I mean, they'll make a run. I think it's going to be Yankees and Stros come the pennant series, and I still think the Yankees will get them because I think the Yankees are just a better team overall.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much the big stuff. Let's go around real quick and let's talk about like the biggest winners that we think. And then I would like to do like biggest winners of the sellers and the biggest winners of the buyers. I think there's, really two clear winners. And then the sneaky hot team and then the losers, the ones who just didn't do anything and needed to do stuff. Ryan, let's start with you on the winners.
Disregarding the Padres because obviously I'm going to go with the seller right off the bat. Actually, I'll go with the buyer right off the bat. I think the Minnesota Twins are a big winner here. I think that they upgraded everywhere that they could without surrendering, anything really valuable. I think that they understand that this division is going to be up for grabs every year and that really no team deserves to win it. So that they need to breed their own talent and at the same time, take advantage of the fact that they are in first place in that division and that they could potentially get into the postseason. Because I agree with Josh, the Yankees are clearly the front runner to come out of the AL, but we've seen clear front runners come out of both leagues, not even make it out of the first round because you got to play the game. It's not done on paper. So you just got to get to the big dance. And I think the Twins understood the assignment here, and I think they did a fantastic job. And then for me as a seller, Washington.
Yeah.
Washington just heated, they returned a potential ace in their staff. Keibert Ruiz just made his debut, I think, earlier this year, maybe even as early as last week. I know I saw him in the lineup tonight. They also returned C.J. Abrams, who is arguably already MLB ready. He was just blocked by Fernando Tatis. They acquired some good prospects.
Tom, who do you think?
Well, I mean, Ryan just said it's the Padres are the obvious. I think a lot of the Twins, okay. I think a lot of the other teams, I think the Yankees more than anyone, just because they legit got starting pitching, which I don't think a lot of teams really did. I mean, the Phillies got Syndergaard, but he's not.
I'd say the Phillies are a winner at the deadline too.
Yeah, I think the Phillies did okay. Yeah. The as far as the sellers go, the Nationals to give up who they gave up is it's tough to beat, man. I mean, you might have given up a Hall of Fame talent with Soto. So I'm not sure that when the kid turned down the 440, you should have kicked back and said, hey, you know what? Unless you don't want to be here at all, they should have kicked that up. So losing Soto and then adding Bell, and you get six kids back and stuff. So you have that.
That is another thing that you brought up a good point. Like, it was very obvious Soto didn't want to be there. So why would you hold on to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think that the thing that kind of struck me is that you had to add Josh Bell to it.
Yeah.
I think they were just selling high on Josh Bell. Realistically, Josh Bell is well outperforming his career averages and having a fantastic season. And there's no there's no long-term proof or evidence that he's going to be able to sustain that wherever he went. So I think that they were more so just selling high on the fact that they weren't going to need him anyway.
Yeah, which is fine because that's what you do around this time of year, except if you're other teams. So,
yeah, Josh.
But yeah, no, I think that the teams that look like they did nothing for no reason. You know, I mean, you had a lot of teams that did mediocre, middling, one-for-one kind of non-Major League Baseball ready players for other non-Major League Baseball ready players. And that's fine. Just to tell your fan base you did something. Yeah. You know, so when you're the big guns that did what they did, then you're the big market teams that did what you did because you're going for it, and because the majority of the teams in Major League Baseball right now aren't even close to winning a World Series. So good for the Padres. Phillies were decent. Nationals blew it. Yankees did decent. Other than that, everyone else to me, I mean, the Sox were kind of disappointing just because I don't know what the hell direction they're going in. But other than that, I just don't really – I don't have a whole – I'm not really overwhelmed by the whole day besides the Soto move, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and that happened really early. It was a whole bunch of smaller moves. Josh, who do you think are the winners?
I mean, I have to agree with – we all agree on the obvious consensus the Padres are the big winners. They made all the big moves. They filled every hole they needed. The Padres, obviously, the big winners out of all of us. So, again, I think Yankees won too. I think Minnesota's a winner too. I think Washington could have gotten more for what they gave up. I think Ryan hit on that with, they were selling high on Bell outperforming his career numbers. I think you could have gotten what they got for just Soto alone, to be honest with you. But that's just – I mean, that was just hearing the trade talks that the Cardinals constantly had going on with them. And we were willing to give up nearly that price point. I think we were at 5 players we were willing to give up for Soto alone. So I think when they threw Bell in, I think that was just to maybe get an extra prospect. But I think they could have gotten more, especially with the way the Padres were pushing all in. So I don't want to say they're a winner on the seller's market, but they're definitely not a loser with what they got back. I think, and this is one that maybe you guys aren't going to agree with me on, or maybe I'm being far or out there on this one, but I think the Cubs are a big loser.
Oh no, the Cubs. I had 4 big losers. The Cubs are at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I think if the Cubs would have departed with Contreras and Happ, they could have pulled a ton of prospects off of those 2 players alone. And I don't know why the Cubs didn't make that move unless that what they were hearing just wasn't exactly what they wanted. So
it seems like they were just overvaluing them. But yeah,
and they might be, but we never even heard, or at least I never heard what they were being offered. So not to steer away from the winner of the sellers, but I wanted to talk about a loser that we had, and the Cubs were the big loser for me. I mean, I don't think Pittsburgh did very well with their trade with St. Louis. I doubt Oviedo is Oviedo, and the other guy they got, I don't know anything about him, to be honest with you. So I think they could have gotten more.
Nunez has been in the minor leagues for like 8 years now, so he's not.
Yeah, he's never really made a big appearance. So I think I would say Pittsburgh's a loser just because they didn't get back probably what they should have gotten for Quintana. That's really my opinion. I think a lot of it was just mediocre. It was just like Boston Tom said, teams making moves just to say that they made a move, nothing to incrementally help their team or make a big impact for down the road or in the playoff stretch.
There are 4 glaring losers to me. The Diamondbacks are probably in 4th place. They should have definitely offloaded Merrill Kelly, who has no business being on that team. He's 33 years old, sub-3 ERA in the NL West, where every ballpark is a launching pad. So he's obviously pitching fantastic. What are the Diamondbacks going to do with a 33-year-old? Nothing. They should have moved him. the Giants, because they sold off a bunch of little pieces, probably took themselves out of the race, but refused to give up the two big ones. So they're losers. The Cubs are also losers. And then the Rockies, once again.
Yeah.
Well, the Rockies are
Rockies.
perpetual losers.
It's the teams that suck that need to offload their guys and don't do it. That,
Right.
not that the Giants suck, but every other move that they made indicated that they were going to be out of, the playoff race. Actually, I could say the same thing about Boston. I'll add Boston to the list. JD Martinez shouldn't be in a Red Sox uniform right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason I don't care that he's still in a Red Sox uniform is because they made the Hosmer move, which makes me think I can actually watch this fucking team for the next couple months. So,
yeah.
And like I said earlier, if you're going to keep them and let them walk, so be it. Because the returns that Bloom gets back in trades fucking suck. So, to me, get what you can out of him while he's here. If you want to try to sign him for a 1 year thing, have at it. You have no fucking offense on this team whatsoever, especially if you don't bring Bogarts back. I wouldn't mind JD Martinez for another year. If you were going to move him after they traded Vasquez, then I would have been like, all right, now we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to do that, if you brought pieces in like the Hosmer move was because you improved first base, because anyone would improve first base, I don't mind the Martinez sticking around. They didn't pick a direction, and that's frustrating. But the fact that he's still here and Bogarts is still here, I don't mind him not being moved. See what you get out of him the rest of the year. That's it. If you're going to move him, fine. If not, fucking eat it. Because you wouldn't have got shit for him anyway, based on Bloom's returns.
Yeah. So for me, the winners, obviously it's
Padres.
I don't know.
Sorry.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's Josh just texted me. Never mind. He sent me a weird thing. But I think a very underrated winner that we haven't really talked about. Huh?
Not that kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. It was like only a picture of his dick. But anyways.
That's nothing, dude.
Yeah, right.
Could have put that in the private chat at least, man. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
for the rest. The Mariners, they went and got Luis Castillo. They went and got Matthew Boyd. They got Jake Lamb and Kurt Casale. But I'm
not sold on Boyd, but I really do like Castillo.
It seems like whenever I looked at Boyd at the beginning of the season, he was pretty good. I don't know how he has been lately, but
I just feel like he's super hot and cold.
Yeah. The Cubs, I think, are losers. Another team I think that are major losers are the White Sox. They're doing bad in a terrible division, and I don't know what they're thinking right now. It's stupid. They should have gotten rid of Josh Harrison. They should have gotten rid of a couple other players. They could have gotten rid of Grandal, I think.
Abreu, I think that would suck.
Yeah, Abreu. You could get some value from him, but the White Sox, I don't know what their plan is because, like I said earlier, they do not have any depth. All their players are injured. It seems like all the time, which is another thing that hurts them. And it just seems like they need to go and maybe not a full rebuild, but maybe just a little bit of a rebuild just to build up some of the farm system and get some good depth in. But it doesn't seem like they have – I don't know what they have Tony La Russa running the ship, and Tony La Russa has he's got something wrong with him at the moment, it seems like. He's checked out. But, yeah, those are my two. That's the biggest winner and loser for me. is there anything for you guys that you want to talk about before we exit?
Go Phils.
Go Phillies, yeah.
Can I bring up
You guys
one
have
name
smoked
that?
tonight.
Can I bring up one name that no one talked about?
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
I just kind of remembered. Was the Whit Merrifield to Toronto?
Oh yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. We talked about that earlier. Whit Merrifield is
Oh,
like
I'm
the
sorry, I wasn't with you guys, but
yeah,
I thought
no,
that.
but he's like the ultimate utility player. I think he plays every position except pitcher and catcher, and for the most part in his career, he's usually like a 285 hitter, and he runs pretty well too.
Yeah.
I
But
think really he's just been kind of hurt from the Royals are just terrible, and I think that just brings him down too. So I'm glad that he got out. I think it may be a couple years too late.
Yeah, could be. I was
can't-
just kind of intrigued by the move. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
he's pretty. He could be a solid. He could play anywhere. So like, whatever.
I think the Royals, after they blew up the team after they won the World Series, they kind of realized what direction that division was headed, and they were like, "Oh, we can compete again." And instead of taking their time to do a complete rebuild, they kind of performed a shortcut, and it didn't seem to work out too well for them. So
Yeah. And then there's the ridiculous COVID crap with him playing in Toronto. So that was kind of weird that they traded for him. So.
Well, it's funny, like Benintendi and obviously Whit Merrifield, they were both on the Blue Jays radars at the trade deadline, and they didn't. They seem to be okay with getting the vaccine now, so I guess they just didn't care to get it with the
Royals.
Yeah, didn't get to.
They
do it with the
weren't
Royals.
going to get
Sorry.
it until it was going to affect their money.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I did not try to bring that up on purpose. I just thought the kid went there, and I'm like, well, they need help, utility help. The kid's pretty solid. He can play anywhere. That's all I meant. I thought it was odd that MLB was like, well, why would Toronto go get him when he has the COVID shit? So I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I just thought he's kind of he could be a pretty solid utility guy, like Ryan was saying. He can play anywhere. So that's going to be interesting to see, though.
When your wallet gets hit more than 6 games out of the year, you'll probably go get the shot.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, that's the thing that happened with Trevor Story. They paid him, what, $2 million to get the vaccine? So.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like to talk about that.
I don't know if you guys saw Jason Romero's comments before the Phillies went to Toronto. He's like, I'm not getting vaccinated. You can't make me $260,000 isn't worth the shot anyway. And he sat out both games.
Dang. Anyways, but
I just want to bring that up because I'm like, he's Blue Jays are going to be a contending team, so I thought that maybe was a signing that we didn't talk about.
They've been good since they traded away or fired Montoya. Montero? Yeah.
Freddie Montoya, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
He's no Cito Gaston, you know what I mean? That's what they've missed.
Anyways, well, I think that's about it for tonight. Ryan, Tom, thanks for coming on. Tom, do you want to plug your Corner Booth podcast real quick?
I'm at Tom Quincy on Twitter, at Corner Booth 617 on Twitter. A lot of Boston-based sports, obviously. So, I appreciate you guys inviting me on to hang out with you. I enjoy. I know I run my mouth, but I enjoy hanging out with the baseball talk for sure.
I'm honestly a little bit disappointed that you didn't go off on a total tangent. I thought you were going to be boiling today. I thought Christian Vasquez getting traded and JD not. But yeah, you handled yourself well.
Yeah, I have my moments.
Yeah, right. Ryan, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is at Ryan BSing Sports, and our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Bill's Twitter. We're on Twitch now. And we have a website, www.bsingsports.com. Come check us out anytime. Ask me any questions. I'm available pretty much all hours of the day. So,
Love it.
Josh, do you have any words of wisdom before we go?
Wisdom? No.
Okay, fine.
No.
Some
I'm just
bad
a low wage
advice,
blue collar
babbling.
worker having wisdom. Advice: drink lots of beer, enjoy sports for what they are, and don't take it too personally.
amen,
Yes.
brother.
I
That
guess
works.
so. Anyways, thanks for coming on, guys. I will see you guys later. And actually, we'll be on tomorrow for Cardinals Chronicles. We're going to go in depth on the Jose Quintana, the Stratton, and whoever that other guy is, Montgomery trade, saying goodbye to Harrison Bader. And it was such a tenure. Who am I going to hate now? Still Yachty.
You'll find
Anyways, yeah, right. Live long and watch some damn baseball.
somebody.
See you guys.
Go. Peace.
Hell yeah.